You are watching an ORACLOUD Plus Training as a Service video snippet. Snippets are concise, targeted tutorials explaining how to use, configure, integrate, deploy, and support Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications. Snippets are delivered via FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool. FAST is accessible via the web at www.oracloud.plus. No more watching hours of learning path style videos to get to the 5-minute snippet you need. Learn Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications in minutes, not hours. Hello and welcome to the Catalogs and Pre-Negotiated Content video presentation. This video is intended for beginners looking to learn more about Fusion's ability to represent pre-negotiated content using catalog, request form, and information template capabilities. It explains the what, where, when, why, who, and how for Oracle Fusion Procurement Cloud's pre-negotiated content functionality. This video snippet, as with all ORACLOUD Plus video snippets, can be found within FAST, our Fusion Application Support Tool. It's in the Procurement Cloud training groups under the or in the Catalogs Training Center. To get access to FAST, email us at access@oracloud.plus. Please put your name and contact information in the body of the email and set the title to FAST Access Request. Okay, so key topics are as follows. What are catalogs? Catalog types and subtypes. Beyond catalogs, pre-negotiated content or PNC. Accessing PNC from the Requisition homepage. When is PNC created within, again, the FPC or Fusion Procurement Cloud business process flow? Pre-negotiated content in action, so providing some examples, how it's called, where it's called from. And then why are catalogs, or PNC for that matter, created? So let's get started. So what are catalogs? Item catalogs provide a simple mechanism for locating items and their source information for the purpose of creating a purchase order and requisition line. And source information could be supplier part ID, manufacturer, lots of different attributes that are at the item level. Next up, catalog types and subtypes. So from a pure catalog standpoint, there's only 3 types, really. Information catalogs, which are pointers. Local catalogs and items, which are created and managed by either procurement, or in some cases, the application or the agreement is opened up so the items can be managed by the supplier in self-service. And then lastly, remote, or what Fusion will call Punchout catalogs and items. And so Punchout are either created and managed at the supplier by the supplier. They could be created and managed at a third party, let's say marketplace. Sometimes Ariba or SideQuest will do that, other applications as well. And those are managed by, again, usually the supplier. Or they can be created and managed at the supplier, but accessed via that third party marketplace. So that's the catalog types and subtypes. Now let's talk about beyond catalogs, representing pre-negotiated content. So there are areas where we've negotiated something, but it doesn't naturally fit as an item in a catalog anywhere. Some examples of that would be services or legal services. There's also sometimes where we want to structure the buy or the request, but again, we don't have an item. So for example, 2 definite examples of this, I could have a request form for you to buy specific legal services against an ongoing large lawsuit or legal matter. So I could use a form to do that. And then sometimes I might want to have a subsystem initiator. So either market data or facilities, we're not going to buy using the traditional rec to order or even procurement. In the case of facilities, we're going to want to initiate a subsystem to do that transaction, or possibly even a different organization. So I can use a request form to do that. I can also create what's called an information template, which is a series of related questions. And I can either hang that info template off of a category, which we'll see later, or I can bind it into a SmartForm. Again, I'll show you examples here in a bit. So now we have this pre-negotiated content constructs, if you will. How do we access them? Well, we access them from different locations on what we call the Requisition homepage. So you can see here, pre-negotiated content structures, shopping list, purchasing news and banners, categories, catalogs, SmartForms, info templates. which you don't see a link to because we'll show you where they get called, but they're either bound into a SmartForm or called via category. And then you have informational items. Next up, when are these catalogs, or for that matter, pre-negotiated content created? So here's the FPC, Fusion Procurement Cloud, single page process flow that we like to use. Our purchasing services are on the top, and our sourcing services are on the bottom. So on the purchasing services are what's also called self-service, rec, to approve, to order, receive at desk or dock. Well, if I don't have something in self-service, meaning a catalog, now is where we get into where we create those different catalogs. So we'd fire up a non-catalog request form, maybe even some version of a SmartForm, and we'd engage the service of sourcing or procurement to help us find the supplier, get the contracts in order, potentially source, then go to a contract. And then once we've got that, we have the option to take what we've sourced, enable that as a catalog or pre-negotiated content. So now we're going to look at 4 or 5 slides that just talk about or show this pre-negotiated content, if you will, in action. So in the upper right, on the left-hand side of this page, there's an image, and you can see it says shopping list. Sorry, it's probably a little bit small. And that shopping list, should you open it, will call a grouping of items that can be added to your cart one by one or all at the same time. So that's how a shopping list gets to local catalog items. Next up, we have shop by category. So if I know that I want a shirt, but I don't know what the name, red, blue, green, polo, I can or shop by category. So as you can see on the image on the left, there's a shop by category dropdown that will call your procurement taxonomy, which you see here on the right. And hanging off of that taxonomy can be info items, local items, or request forms. Next up, shop by search. So this is really where we like to drive a lot of the procurement because it eases the adoption. What's the one thing usually every requester knows? Well, they know the description. So go here, press this button, put in your search, click find, and voila here on the right. Well, voila returns info items, local items, Punchout items, or request forms. And Punchout items has an asterisk because you need to set that up. And that can be a little challenging as some of the major players, say for example, even Hewlett-Packard, don't have what we'll call fragments of items that can be uploaded within your Punchout. If you need more on that, contact me directly. Then shop by search or Punchout. So again, like I said, you can have those fragments, but you can also click the Punchout link that will transport you to the website. In this case, on the right-hand side is Amazon, where you search Amazon's items. And then next up, pre-negotiated content in action, shop by information template. So let's go bottom right of this slide. You see values that would be in a drop-down box. Right above that, you see the fields that would have or be drop-down boxes. So the role has the values in that image on the very bottom. And then those particular fields are aggregated in an information template. In this case, the information template, now roll your eyes to the left of this slide. That image has a category name that calls an information template. That template provides those additional fields: role, pillars, offerings, application years of experience, etc. So let's shop by information template when that information template is called from a category. You can also bind that info template into a SmartForm and display the SmartForm via a request form within the requisitioning homepage, which you see here. And then lastly, shop by information and tips. So again, here we're driving from the requisition homepage. You could also do it via search like we talked about earlier, but you can drive information and tips or info items from that section down there, information and tips. So that's a lot of different pre-negotiated content in action and how it's, so the construct, if you will, and how it's accessed. Okay, so lastly, why create catalogs and pre-negotiated content? Well, this is kind of obvious, but allows you to, first of all, decrease your item per unit costs. So you're allowed to take targeted DFFs. You can see discounts. This is another big difference over legacy applications. If I'm searching on items here in this requisition page, the way Fusion's built is that you can see the discounts at the item level. versus where some of the legacy applications like PeopleSoft, my procurement contract wasn't factored in to my item search. So you can decrease unit costs by using this catalog or pre-negotiated content effectively. Obviously, you're going to increase your productivity because the more catalogs that you use, the more requesters can get at sourced content without having to involve or invoke the service of sourcing, often referred to as procurement. And then lastly, decreasing your risk. The more content you have on catalog means that you have more agreements, which means you have more contracts, which means you have more control and are lowering your risk based on your contractual agreements. Okay, so that's it for catalogs. Are you ready for the next video? Well, do you understand what catalogs and pre-negotiated content are, how they're created, when they're created, who creates them and why? If the answer is no, then either watch again or feel free to reach out to me directly. You can see here on the left, that's my email address, and I'm always available to answer questions. If the answer is yes, great, then maybe you want to watch more video. So you can go to our playlist out on YouTube by going to YouTube and searching on ORACLOUD Plus Inc. Or you can go from our website to the tool we call FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool, and you can access the full catalog of our Learn, Use, Configure, Integrate, Deploy, and Support videos online. So that's it for this tutorial. We hope you found it informative and keep watching.